Well, hello, friends. Welcome in. I am so glad that you're here. Um, if you are new here today, I am Karma with Lewis Acre Farm, and you are watching Meet Me Monday. On Meet Me Monday, I like to bring in special guests and interview them, find out a little bit about. Usually, they have a YouTube channel, and we like to learn about the YouTube channel. We find out about a little bit about their background, their families, just get to know them as individuals. Uh, Sometimes on Meet Me Monday, we do a topic discussion. Today, I have my friend Patrick with Have Cheetah Will View, and this is going to be an interesting discussion. Patrick is a fellow interviewer. He brings on a wide variety of people and does interviews with them. I was very blessed to be his first homesteader to be interviewed on his channel, and that was a lot of fun. We had a very interesting discussion on there. He interviews, oh gosh, so many very interesting people. But I can't do justice in describing it myself, so I'm going to bring Patrick up and have him tell us a little bit about his channel. So, hi Patrick, how are you today?
Great, Karma. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the offer and glad to be here. Um, yeah, I think it's fun that you're doing interviews. Um, you and I met through our mutual friend Kevin from Tuber Chat, um, and it was
Yes.
really funny. It's like I thought, what's funny is I actually thought that you were looking to be interviewed. And so I reached out. I said, I'll
Right.
talk to you. And I said, I'll talk to you. Because I'll talk to anybody who'll talk to me. And so I said, yeah, I'll interview
Yeah.
you. And that happened, but I didn't realize that later on until it was that you were looking for people to interview yourself, because you're going to do
Right.
interviews through the channel. So that worked out for the best of us, for the both of us.
It did. It really did. And it's been so much fun getting to know you and finding out we have some mutual interests, and it's just been a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed coming on your channel and being interviewed. Um, One of our biggest interests, shared interests, is cats.
Yes,
We both have our little house cheetahs, and
that's right. Except my cheetah is actually 50% cheetah. He is actually a cheetah. I don't know how he got to be where he got. I actually got him. I got him at an animal shelter. He had his own section.
oh,
Yeah, yeah. He was all by himself. He had a whole container all by himself. Um, and all the domestic cats are in one section, and you hear the dogs. And then over here you have Paladin by himself. And what it was how I got him was well, I heard that there was a clear the floor, clear the shelter event, because um, the shelter that I went and got Paladin at was called Huron Valley, and they had to clear their room from all the cats 6 months and older,
mhm.
because they had busted an animal hoarder, and they were bringing in 88 cats, and they needed the room desperately.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
yes, Huron Valley is a no-kill shelter, so they're all coming in. They're all
Oh,
gonna.
nice.
So they said it was free cats, free, and So I went down there not expecting to find him, that's for sure. But they told me, they said this is, they actually had a name. They actually named him a good name. I mean, you've been around fosters for a while yourself. It's one thing
Yes.
fosters, they I love fosters. I think I like animal rescue. I like fosters. But there's, I mean, maybe it's because they have so many, but there's one thing that a lot of them
Hmm.
cannot do. They don't know how to name a cat. I've seen some cat names on rescues that just, you just look at them and go like, how did you come up with that name with that cat and his personality? It's the weirdest thing, you know. Here's a sleepy mackerel tabby, and I'm going to call him Mr. Excitement. But Paladin actually had a really good name.
Sometimes, sometimes what it is that you've had so many that you just run out of names, or sometimes you pick an oxymoron name just because it is an oxymoron. I had two rescues that my husband and I found in the middle of the night, and they were running to us, and they were literally on the run, and they were looking to be rescued. And they were
Yeah,
two little females, little tortoiseshells, and we named them Thelma and Louise,
that's
and it
perfect.
just fit them, you know.
It,
It,
yeah.
but because they were on the run, it just fit them. And it turned out that it really fit their personalities. Now, when I adopted them out, their new parents renamed them. But,
Yeah.
you know, it happens. Now, my son just recently adopted a cat, and her name was Kiwi. Now, why would you name a cat Kiwi? Well, you
Um,
run out of names, and you get she had 11 kittens with her. They just started naming all of them after fruit, I'm sure.
yeah,
But he
I've
loved
seen
the
that.
name, so he kept it.
Um, well, Paladin actually had a really good name. His name was Duncan, and I was, for a split second there, I was tempted to keep it. Duncan McLeod, the Highlander. There shall be only one, and I was tempted to keep it, but I already knew that when I said if I ever get another cat, I'm going to name it Paladin after the TV show Have Gun Will Travel. And so, because I wasn't expecting, and when I went over there to see what his name was, I wasn't expecting him to actually have a good name. I was expecting it to be oh, this is, come meet grapes, something like that. It's like, that's what I expected, but all of a sudden this Duncan, I'm going like, wow, that's actually a pretty good name. I'm going like, I'm going, and then, but I got him home, and then I started calling him Paladin, and within about a week or so, he picked up on his name, and after that, it was fine. But, um, but like I said,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, um, yeah, cats, yeah, they're pretty important. They're pretty important.
they are. They really are. They're so special. They, I think that have, they serve a totally different but a greater purpose than dogs. Dogs, they require so much more care,
Oh
and a
yeah,
cat really doesn't.
no,
They're they can be aloof, but when you need them, they're there.
yeah,
And
that's the thing with dogs. You're right. I mean, the dogs they're a lot more, labor intensive, and I like the fact that Paladin can entertain himself, during the day. Once in a great
yeah,
while, maybe like once or twice a week. I might not be getting up as quick as he wants, so he'll sit down downstairs and he'll throw out that big ass meow there, "Meow," like get up already. Um, but most of the time though, he's good. He entertains himself. Dogs on the
yeah.
other hand, they're always, what's that saying? Dogs have dogs look at us like gods, and cats are, they are gods. And that's how I think that's how or dogs have or how is it cats have staff, dogs have people, or
It's
something like that. So that but they're
uh,
smart, they're independent
dogs have masters and cats have.
staff.
Let's see. I just lost it too. Um,
Yeah,
dogs
cats have
have
staff
staff
because now have
and
you been a dog
cats
owner?
have staff and dogs have
Owners,
masters
yeah.
or something
Now
to that effect. Yeah. And it's
something
true. It's
as long
true.
as we all know that cats reign supreme, it's really all that matters. Um, now, have you ever owned any dogs? I've had two dogs in my life.
Yeah.
Um, I had a Siberian Malamute named Otis, and he was a rescue. And then I had
We had a couple when I was growing up. And then we have one small dog right now. And I love her. I love her to pieces. She's going to be 14 in November.
mhm,
As much as I love her, I'll be glad when she's gone. And that sounds awful to say, but when we got her, um, I was very, very disabled, and she was a puppy. And I'm still disabled, but I'm more able-bodied now than I was. Um, she, being a puppy, I relied on my husband to do what needed to be done for her. And just checking to see if we have any comments. I'm not seeing any comments in here. Um,
yeah, we see you out
we,
there. There's four of you watching. Come on in and say hello.
yeah,
Say,
yeah. I just was checking to make sure we actually had any live commenters in here because nothing was happening. It's usually active by now.
oh my
Um,
God.
kind of got distracted there for a second. Sorry, but but the training didn't happen, and so she's more behaved with me because I was consistent with some of the training that I could do, but he just allowed her to get away with things and wouldn't correct her, wouldn't
Hmm.
do what needed to be done to train her, and so she's very unruly,
What kind of dog
and
is
I don't enjoy her.
he?
She's a Well, we were told originally that she was a Yorkie. Then we found out she was a Silkie. And now that she's older, we're finding out that she is much more likely to be an Australian Terrier
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
purebred.
so Yorkies are they're cute dogs. I mean they're very easy to train. Um, I I had friends who've had a couple of Yorkies and
There's
they love them to death.
She was in no way was she ever a Yorkie. The way we got her was that my mother-in-law wanted a Yorkie, and she bought her as a Yorkie with suspicion she may not be a Yorkie. And after she'd had her for 6 months, that's when my husband and I um, ended up getting together. Uh, Long story. We've known each other since high school, but we've only been together for 13 years. Um,
Okay.
but my mother-in-law didn't want the dog anymore. So when my husband moved to Idaho to be with me, he brought the dog because I
Okay.
agreed to take the dog as long as he would help me with her. Well,
Right,
yeah,
right.
that worked.
Um,
And
yeah,
then after in between all that time, then we found out that she was not a Yorkie, she was a Silkie. So we've always thought that she was a Silkie. Now, in the last year or so, we've done more investigating and looking at her body structure, looking at her behaviors, looking at all this stuff, and we're finding out no, more than likely she's not a silky, she's an Australian Terrier, which a silky is a combination of a Yorkie and an Australian Terrier. So she
Does
could
she
be
have
any
a
one
fair
of those.
game? I mean,
What's that?
how many pounds does she weigh, and what's her coloring?
She she is probably about between 12 and 15 pounds, which
Oh yeah,
she is big.
yeah,
She's big for her breed.
yeah. She's definitely not a Yorkie.
And
Yorkies are
she
what?
should, if a Yorkie lives 8 to 12 years, Yorkies live 8 to 12, Silkies live 8 to 12, 8 to 15, and Australian Terriers live about 8 to 15. And she's 14 or will be 14. And she's starting to really show her age, but she still has quite a bit of get up and go. She's losing her hearing and losing her eyesight, but that's the only thing that's really showing on her. And more incontinence than she used to have.
Yeah, that happened. I
So,
tell you what thing really caught me by surprise because you never really heard about it too much, but you know, when animals get dementia, like I never knew that until I actually got
oh yeah,
online. And then, because people were saying that, they're saying, my dog, he has dementia, it's like dog Alzheimer's or, like cat house Alzheimer's. I'm
right.
like, I've never even heard of that. I've never seen an animal
Yeah,
with it.
they can get the same diseases we get.
Yeah, isn't that
So
something else?
we've spent a lot of time talking about our pets.
I'm sure you have
So
questions.
where where do you live, and um, what led you to become a YouTube creator, and when did you start your channel?
Well, I live in southeastern Michigan. I live between Detroit and Ann Arbor, closer to Ann Arbor, 17 and a half miles from
Okay.
Ann Arbor. Um, and my channel got started off an offshoot of a blog I had. Um, I had a blog called The Inner Circle, and so I started. Well, I actually had a couple of different blogs, but the sites that they kept on, like they were on, they kept on closing. Um, it was just really like, get there, you start writing, start meeting people, and next thing you know, the platform's gone. Uh, so I
Oh
went
my
on
goodness.
blog. Yes, I went on Blogspot, which was Google's idea of a blog, and then but they didn't really they weren't user friendly, comment friendly at all. I mean, like you could write stuff, but unless someone had a blogging account, they couldn't leave a comment. So that wasn't very nice. So I said,
Mm,
okay. So I went to WordPress and I took my blog over there, and that's where my interview series actually started. Um, you could read
okay.
133 different interviews I've done over there. So I started doing it over there. My blog got started because my wife was ill, and so it was my way of writing out what was going on with us and my feelings about it, and so that's how it originally started. uh
Okay.
she passed away in 2013 on May 20th, to
I'm so
2013.
sorry.
Yeah, me too. She had cancer for 2.5 years. So
That's
there's
tough.
nothing. Yeah, you get to watch the person you love the most die inch by inch. So it's a pretty life altering. And but when I started writing my blog, I was writing about what happened, and then I just said, I could sit here every day, and I could write about how I feel and what we went through. And I said, I don't think people will come and read that. So I should try to do something different. And so I said, well, I can review. I can do reviews on it here. I mean, and a friend of mine named Sean Kane, who I met through my friend Monique Parent, um, she introduced me to Sean, and I was telling, I told Sean, I said I was thinking about doing movie reviews. He says I think you'd be good at it, and so I decided to try to do a movie review that he had done with Monique called Jurassic City, and it was a very fun dinosaur creature feature. And so I did it, and my friend Sean told me how I could put up on in the IMDb, and I did that, and all of a sudden it's like it just sort of took off. Um, I was writing, I was creating, it helped me out in a really bad spot.
Right.
Um, so I started, I said I want to do something else. What else can I do? Just writing reviews every day with this. So I came with the idea of doing interviews, and I called it 8 Questions With. And what I would do is I go up to different people and I say, I'd like to interview you, and I'm going to send you 8 to 10 questions or 8 to 12, however I felt was right. And I want you to
Mm-hmm.
answer in your own words. And I think that what helped me with this series was I was adamant when I told them that whatever you write is going up. There won't be any changes at all other than grammar. I won't add a word to what you say. Not a word. I'm not going to embellish it. I'm not going to shift things around. Whatever you say is what's going up. And
Right.
and which is important. I mean, because if you go and look at a lot of media, if you do, and if you look at a lot of interviews, you could see where a person who's talking, you could tell when they've added things to the interview.
Mhm.
You get an idea when they do that, and it makes it disingenuous. It puts words in their mouth that they didn't say. And how many times have we heard someone who's been interviewed say, "That's not what I said." They took it out of context.
Mm-hmm.
So I told them, "Says whatever you tell me is exactly what I'm going to put on here. Um, I'm not going to put anything else." And so the interview section took off. The series took off, and I started meeting actors. Um, I started meeting actors, and that was really interesting because I had no idea how to contact any of these people. I had known Monique,
Mm-hmm.
for a while. Um, oh, yeah, we got guests now.
Welcome in. I know.
Wow.
I just noticed that. Welcome
Uh,
in, Joyful Janae and Scott with Rambling with the Brooms. So glad you're here.
yes, thank
We're
you for coming.
chatting with Patrick with Have Cheetah Will View. He's describing to us how he got his channel started. If you're just coming in.
Um, so I went ahead
Get
and
that check. Be right
uh,
back.
is that Logan?
Yeah.
Uh, um, so I started doing I met a few people, and then I was starting to do I was looking at YouTube, and I saw a couple of people doing YouTube. My friend Dan Dozzle was doing it, and he says you should start a channel too. So I didn't know what I was doing, so I said okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then I became more of a supporter than more than a content creator. I was just going around supporting friends, and then I started doing on my channel. Then I started doing reviews again, and but I wasn't showing my face. I was just showing what I got. I didn't think anybody wanted to see me, so I kept I was camera shy. So I started doing reviews, and then my friend Hobbs from Hobbs Horror, he encouraged me to. He says, "Well, you should do should get on there and show your face." And I said, "Well, I
Mm-hmm.
don't have a I said I have a face for radio." And but he started a show called The Midnight Hour, and he says, "Well, let's do the Midnight Hour." I initially told him, I says, look, you and this other gentleman named Jason, you guys have perfect radio voices. You will be good at this. I said, I'll stay in the background and you know find things for you guys to talk about. Well, Jason couldn't do it, so Hobbs says, "Well, you have to do it." And so I went online for the first time with the Midnight Hour, and I showed my face. And people didn't storm the castle and burn the barn, so I said, "Okay, we're okay." Um, and so that's generally how I got my channel. I got my channel going, and so I did the Midnight Hour for about a year, and with me and Hobbs, we had a lot of fun. I mean, we had
Mm-hmm.
some we had some fun on that show. We go back some of the older episodes. There are some we had different co-hosts coming in, and we had a lot of fun. And uh, but I said, hey, we could, it says I've been doing interviews on my blog. I says we should try that here. Let's try it. Let's try it on. Let's try it. And so he says, if you think you can get us somebody, so I got us this actress named Sadie Katz. Shout out to Sadie. She's awesome. She's she's a
Cool.
firecracker. Yeah, she is really sweet. And so I asked her, says, would you be willing to do an interview on this new podcast that we're doing? And she said yes, which really surprised us. We didn't expect that.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, I was like, hey, would you consider it? And so what I did was to get guests was I went back to some of the guests I had interviewed on my blog. I went back to them and saying, "Hey, would you come back and talk to us? We did it on paper, so, in a matter of speaking. Would you come back and do it live with us?" And so some of the people started coming in, and I started interviewing. We started interviewing some of the people from my blog because of somebody I knew. Um, but as we did it, I sort of felt the creative itch, like okay, and I'm going like, this is something I need to be doing myself. I mean, I love the Midnight Hour, and
Mm-hmm.
Pop and I are close friends, and we're like brothers. And I said, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and take this and take it to my channel because I was the only one that knew how to do it. As far as getting guests goes, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody else knew. It wasn't like I had any secret. It was just like I just knew a few people. And so I just said, "Hey, I'm just gonna go ahead and." So with this blessings is okay. So I moved the interview series to my channel, and Kevin always says this too on Tuber Chat. He always says this, that, and this is the key: is to try to find your niche, find out what you're really good at doing that. So
Yeah.
homesteading, cats, or anybody in the chat that has something that they're really good on their channel. With your Meet Me Mondays, that's your niche. It might be slow starting off because it was slow starting off with me too. When I started doing my interviews,
Mm-hmm.
less than 200 people following me when I started it. I didn't have anybody following me. In fact, I was conscious of that. Like I wanted to go to ask these people to
Yeah.
come talk, but I was self-conscious about how few followers I had. Like, I didn't want to go up to a big star or director and say, "Hey, come do an interview," and they get over there and they see I have subscribers, which probably means I'll probably get 5 to 10 people come watching it. I was nervous, so
Mm-hmm.
I pushed them back. I pushed all the big names back, and I just went with the independent actors and slowly built my channel up till I
Well,
had
and that
confidence.
helps them out too. That
Right.
helps those independents out, getting them out and getting them publicity.
Yes. Yes, exactly, and it encouraged me to become a better interviewer because I had never, I had done one interview before. I had interviewed Martha Davis from the band The Motels, and that was it. That's the only person I really had ever really truly interviewed on a one-on-one basis. And so I didn't know really what I was doing either. I mean, writing a interview on a blog, but all I did was I wrote 8 questions, sent it to them. They did all the work. I just got them, and put the questions in order, put some pictures on there, and I popped it. I put it up. I really didn't have to do anything. Of course, with this
Yeah.
show, with 8 questions with, it's all the time because I do 3 shows a week.
Okay.
So I have to be always working. It
Mhm.
grew into that. I didn't know when I first started Karma. I didn't know where it was going to go, if it was going to take off, would I get, would people like it or anything else. Um, I didn't, and the thing is also, I didn't really, and this is the key, this is the key. I didn't care if there was anybody in the chat or not. I still don't to this day.
Mhm.
The only thing that matters to me is I'm getting to talk to you. That's the only thing that matters to me. I get to talk to somebody I want to talk to. If the chat
Right.
comes in, and they want to join in, that's a bonus. But a chance to sit there and talk to somebody one on one, I mean, because I think you find out as you go on every Monday that you do the show,
Mhm.
you probably find yourself becoming more and more curious about the person you're going to meet, because
Right.
that's what.
And that is one of the things that I love, absolutely love about getting to interview people, is that I get to find out about somebody that I didn't know before. I get to ask them questions that you might not otherwise ask. And I get to learn something that other people are curious about. And I know, even if they're not showing up for the live interview, I'm getting a lot of people going back and watching the replay. And like right now, I have 5 people in the chat. And I know that tomorrow, this time, I'll probably have 15 views. And by the end of the week, there's probably going to be 20, maybe 30 views. And that's that many more people who will be exposed to your channel, and that I'm having a hand in helping your channel grow. And that's what it is for me, is I want this to be an opportunity to lift somebody else up. And that's all it's about for me, is lifting others up and getting to know somebody that I didn't know before. And so, while yes, it is wonderful to have a lot of people in and having the conversation flowing, it's more about getting to know somebody and lifting them up. And
Exactly.
I love
Um,
it.
it's funny. It's funny. I won't get into too much detail, but we did have, and it's a learn as you go process. It really is. It's a learn as you go.
Mhm.
And a lot of the times the people that we talk to, or I talk to, um, and I find this actually rather astounding. Um, I'm their first press. I'm their first press. I can't believe it. I'm sitting there talking to an
Wow.
actor. They got like 20 or 25, 30 credits underneath their belt. They're working actor. And I'll sit there and say, have you ever done this before? Have you ever done an interview before? Do you like doing press? And so many people have come up and said, this is my first time. Um, which really astounds me, because it's like, and now I'm a
Isn't
jazz.
that sad?
It is.
That
It
is
is.
sad.
It is sad, because it's like,
So many wonderful people slip under the radar and go unnoticed. And
uh,
that's where people like you and I who do these interviews have an opportunity to, as I said, lift others up and give them their moment to shine.
oh,
And
and
that's really, that's all
I
it's about.
I totally agree. I totally agree. There's someone in your chat that asked an interesting question, and I'm gonna have to ask you the same question. Is how'd your horseless rodeo go? Um,
Oh,
what's a horseless
I
rodeo?
missed that question. I apologize. Who asked that question? Let's see.
Heaven Fire 18. A
Okay.
horseless rodeo.
Oh, there it is. I see it. Bring that up.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Horseless rodeo was a blast. If you don't know what a horseless rodeo is, it is a community outreach from my church. And I attend the Sanctuary Cowboy Church in Caldwell, Idaho. Um, and they put on an annual horseless rodeo for the children of the community and their families. And we had, last year we had 6 events. This year we had 5 events. And the children compete in, children up to age 12 compete in 5 events. And there was roping, goat tying, barrel racing, bull riding, and pole bending. And there are absolutely no live animals in the rodeo. So
Uh,
for
the goat.
the roping event, they had the little dummy heads that they
Okay.
use for roping training stuck in a straw bale, and they teach the little children how to rope. And they're scored based on how close they get, and they get several tries on that. And
Sure.
then for barrel racing, they have stick horses, and they have to complete the pattern just like if they were on a real horse. And they run the pattern, and they're timed. And based on their time, they're given points. And they're broke down by age group. For the bull riding, there's a mechanical bull and an inflatable bounce house thing around it. And there's one person in there helping them on and off, telling them how to use it, how to ride it safely. And they control it based on their age. If they're really, really, really young, they barely make it move. Little older, they make it move a little bit more. And there's somebody there to catch them right away. If they start getting scared, they stop it immediately. And I think it's the most popular event of the whole rodeo.
That's
And
fun.
they are lining up repeatedly to come back and try it again. Pole bending, they get on their stick horse and they run through the poles just like they would if they were doing real pole bending on a real horse. There's
Okay.
face painting, there's yard games, bake sale, free hot dogs. And at the end, in each age group, first, second, and third place gets a prize. Second and third gets a ribbon. First place gets a ribbon and a belt buckle. And it's based
Oh,
on their
wow.
point tally.
A belt buckle.
And
That's what real rodeo winners get.
yeah, and they had 67 children compete on Saturday.
Wow.
I have 2 videos on my channel from Saturday's event. And there's a short from last year of Logan riding the bull. I don't know what happened to my video from this year, but somehow I lost the video from this year of him riding the bull. So I didn't get it, but I do have a short on my channel of him riding the bull last year.
Okay. Okay.
So, but yeah, that's a horseless rodeo in a nutshell.
How much fun is that?
Oh, it's a
That's
blast. We had
wow.
almost as many volunteers as we had children.
And so your church ran it, right?
Yes. And we do it each year.
That would be if somebody I would want to talk to is the pastor that comes up with this idea. I think I would love to hear it.
Well, the actual pastor who came up with the idea has passed away, but our associate pastor and his wife who have continued it are still here. He's actually a school teacher, and
Okay.
he and his wife continue. I did on one of the videos, I did interview him.
Oh,
Did a
good.
quick, short little interview and had him explain it or talk a little bit about it. So,
Look at you. Look at you. You already see you've gotten this down already. You're looking to talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere. That's a sign of a good interviewer, that's for sure. Um,
well, a little snippet here. I did take radio television in college for a year, and I worked
okay.
at the public radio station for my work study program.
Um,
So,
my small secret was I worked live music for 10 years. I booked
well, now
bands at
see, they're both seasoned vets.
yeah. And so a lot of questions I get asked of me is, like when you talk to talk to someone who's well known as, do you get nervous? And no, not at all. I talk to them just like you and I are talking. I mean, it's just, if you watch my
Mhm.
channel any length of time, there are some people who are really, really amazing. And I connect with everybody. Um, even the
Right.
ones that a little bit, even though even I haven't had, and I'm really proud to say this. Um, I haven't had any bumps. Now, to me, that just seems like that'd be impossible. When I first started, um, when I first started, we had, we had one bump, but it was something that, was new for me. Um,
Mhm.
that I had asked an actress to come onto the show, and I had been trying to do back then when I first started doing this on StreamYard. Man, StreamYard was it had a lot of glitches in it, a lot.
Uh-huh.
And, so when I first started out, it was like that. The one place I've done interviews all over the country. I've done it in 20 different countries, 21 tomorrow because I'm doing one from Sweden tomorrow. Um,
Oh, cool.
but the worst place for connecting with tech, Los Angeles. Holy crow! It's always a dogfight. Even today, it's a dogfight to make sure your connection stays intact. I could interview across the pond over in Great Britain or Scotland or whatever. That's
Right.
fine. But LA, oh, it's a lot of times, I've lost a few interviews that way because the connection just fell apart. But when I first
I wonder if
started,
it's because they're so congested there and so many so many overlapping,
I never had any problem with that with New York. New York is, you
different
know,
setup, different
yeah,
infrastructure.
yeah, because New York, not really. Um, but Los Angeles, yeah, a pain in the butt. And But I had one actress, and I said, knowing this, I said, hey, we should do a pre-show. We should do a pre-show. And oh, I could not get her to do it. I mean, I booked her like 3 weeks out, and like every week I'm saying we should do, and nothing. And so the day of the show comes across, and we start talking, and we haven't tested our tech out, and it just wouldn't stand, and I ended after 17 minutes. I wiped it clean. I didn't even try to save it, and
Mm,
I'm not
that's
doing that.
rough.
Yeah, I said I'm not doing that again with that person, and I haven't. And it's a well-known person. It's, and I'm just like it's, and I was thankful she said yes. I mean, I was very surprised she said it because it was only my 17th show,
Hmm.
but the door had gotten open with my 10th show when we got an actor named Courtney Gaines on. That was like the first big celebrity guest I had, and then with
Hmm.
the You're looking for that, for me, I call them door openers. When you
Right.
get somebody who's large enough to where they open the doors to other people, like you got this, like,
Right.
what I don't, how do you, when you ask somebody to speak with you, do you send them a copy of your show saying this is how the show looks? Do you send them
I,
a
s-
sample of your show?
I send them a link to my channel so that they can take a look at what I have to offer. So they see the whole picture. And I tell them the name of what the Monday Live is. I tell them when I go live, what I do and what the purpose of my live is. Because I want them to understand what my goal is by doing an interview. Because my type of interview is totally different. You have a target group of people that you interview. You're targeting entertainment industry for the most part.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. And it's getting more and more diverse. I'm doing small businesses now. I'm doing homesteaders such as yourself. I've done the a lot of the YouTube creators, including the van lifers and the RVers. I do find that is
mhm,
more interesting to get a wider audience because you want to get everybody to come in and watch. Like anybody who comes into one of my shows, I want them to have the possibility of being entertained. Um, Not that I don't mind
right,
talking to actors and directors, and people ask me that, says, do you get tired of talking to the same people? Not at all, because if you go back and watch every question I ask, you'll never see the same question. You'll never see the same answer twice. It's always going to be
right,
something.
exactly.
Um,
Um,
so
with me, I have such a wide variety of channel types to choose from. Like you're an interviewer and you interview primarily celebrities or YouTube creators.
right,
But I would say probably 90% of your interviews are with celebrities or directors, musicians, that type of
yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah.
Whereas with me, I'm interviewing YouTube creators
And
in
YouTube creators
general.
too. YouTube creators
And
are a lot of talk to.
they are. And every one of them is so different. I can say I'm interviewing homesteaders, but you cannot put homesteaders in a box because every homesteader is so unique. They have their own story to tell. And no two homesteaders going to no two homesteaders are going to have the same story to tell.
No, no, I agree with that. I agree. It's amazing how many, like I said, it's like I don't even do another secret to my show is like I don't do preset questions. I remember when you asked me, is this will you send me questions so I can get ready? And I'm going like, no, because I don't do that. Um, I just we'll start talking. I'll start talking. I'll ask the first question, and then we'll just go from there. We'll just start talking just like we are now, and then I'll have questions. And then I just find it to be a more organic experience for both me, the guest, and the audience because they really don't know what's coming. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll get people in the chat and they'll sit there and they'll ask, sometimes, because I'm really concerned about asking this. I don't want, especially the more well-known guests. I don't want to be asking the same questions that everybody else asks. I really work hard at making sure, like I don't talk about it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to several people who are known for a certain role or a certain movie, or that's what they're known for. They're best known for. I'm
Yeah.
just looking for like, you know what? I'm not going to ask them about that because they've already answered that like 30,000 times. And
Right.
so at least for this interview, at least for this interview. They're not going to hear that. Of course, you have
One
to
thing
balance.
I do, one
Go
thing
ahead.
I do when I do my interviews, I try to think of questions that nobody's ever asked before. I try to think of something that people would want to know that they may not ordinarily ask or might be afraid to ask, and that they're curious about. Like wanting to know about your family. That's not something that you would normally talk about on your channel, because that's not the scope of your channel. You know,
I
and
I
people
will
are
say
curious. They want to know.
they do, and I will say this. This is one big step forward that interviewing YouTube content creators have, and that is that you're able to go there and ask them about their families and their kids and whatnot. Myself, I have boundaries. I can
Mhm.
only, and this is self-imposed. I will only go to a certain point. Like
Mhm.
like if you go back, you won't really, unless there's something there, unless they give me. But as a whole, I won't. Like if there's anything in the past that come up, I'm not going to go back and revisit that.
Mhm.
I know there was an actress who I talked to that used to be a huge horror star. She did a lot of horror movies and very well known, oh yeah. Um, but she transitioned from horror to family film.
Mhm.
Her old horror films that she did and some comedies, she had done some nude scenes, and not my business all I know is that she's now doing movies now aimed for families, aimed for more entertaining, more wholesome and it's not my
Right.
place to there and sit there and say, so what did it feel like to be nude? That's not my business. That's nobody's business. It's her,
No. No.
you know? And so
Right. That's personal. Yeah.
and I sit there and I watch, and I watch I know there's some guests I've had on, and we might be talking about some subjects, or I'll look for questions, like someone comes up there and starts talking about those scenes. I'm not gonna really let that go. It's just like and if it's something if it's somebody who I think is a little well known, maybe has a little bit of flash in their past or whatnot, and some people want to ask about it, I will sit there before that, and I'll sit there and say, I will ask the guests. I'll say,
Right.
so people are going to be asking questions. What questions do you not want to answer? I don't want to answer this, or this. That's fine. I will take my 15 minutes before the guest gets there, and I will sit there and say, we are not going to be talking about this, and this. You can ask questions about that and that and that, but we're not going to do this, and this. Because again, it's none of
Right.
our business. And it's something that they may not be, that's the past. And so a lot of times
Right.
when they come on, they always want to be talking about what they're doing right now or in the future. It's okay to talk about the past, but you have to be careful what context of the past that you talk about. And so,
Right.
yeah, and YouTubers, what I love about it, and it's a lot of fun. Hey, Handicap, how are you? Okay, he comes by and
I'm
watches once in a while. Wow, you
Yeah, I
guys got
see some good names in here, and I'm going to be interviewing Dan and Kathy on October 7th. I
there.
haven't got it set up yet, but I'm going to be doing that this week, getting it all put together and on the schedule. So I'll be interviewing them coming up real soon.
Um, See, that's what I love about your show, Karma, and the fact that you're able to go a little deeper with the content creator. You are, and I think that's cool. And because the one thing, there's one common denominator in doing our show. There's one word that I think for any interviewer that they do, and the worst, and the one word I could think of is trust. They have to trust you. They have
Mm-hmm.
to trust you to come up there and ask the good questions. Not being like a jock shock, not being out there to exploit
Oh,
them, or and
no.
there are interviewers are out there. There's shock jocks out there. They'll get a guest and they'll ambush them. And you can I've
Right.
seen and I've seen where or where they come onto a radio show. They're supposed to be talking about this topic, not about that. And the first thing the jock does after he's been told, he asks them about the forbidden subject. All
Right.
you've done is that all you've done, you think they're funny, but all you've done is
No
you
respect for
destroyed
that.
no, and you destroyed the trust that you had with that person. And the worst
Mm-hmm.
thing about it is that that you broke that trust. You now made it really hard, if not impossible, for the next interviewer, such as you or myself.
Mm-hmm.
We'd like to talk to Joe Smith if we can. Sorry, Joe's not doing any interviews. Well, I can see, I could understand why, because he got him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
So, I was going to ask you, when you do a lot of interviews, you do 3 interviews a week, correct?
yes, sometimes four.
Okay.
Like
But
I'm doing four
you
this week.
also do some other stuff on your channel. You do movie reviews, and you do or movie hauls, I guess is what you call it. You do dollar hauls and library hauls. How in the world do you find time to watch all those movies, plus do your interviews and prepare for the interviews, plus do your blogging and have a
Well,
life?
well, the blog actually it's very I still poke around with it once in a while, but I'm pretty much doing YouTube now, for the foreseeable future. Um, uh, and you're right. I do two different types of Dollar Tree reviews, and that was started by a good friend Hobbs, who I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And he's because I had actually thought about doing that when I was doing my blog and my interviews, because we were getting movies for $1 at the Dollar Tree. So I thought about doing
Mm-hmm.
a series like that. Like, these are the movies I find at the Dollar Tree, and you never know what you're getting at the Dollar Tree. You really don't.
Oh,
But
yeah, that's for sure.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Yeah, I just did regular reviews and whatnot. But our friend Hobbs, he says, I'm going to do a Dollar Tree theater. I said, that's awesome. Let's do it. So basically, that's the gimmick. The gimmick is that we can review anything that we announce $1.25. Any movie we get for $1.25 or under, we can review. And it's a lot of fun because now the Dollar Tree doesn't do movies anymore. They don't sell
They
movies
don't?
anymore. No,
I
no,
thought
they
I'd
quit.
seen them at our Dollar Tree recently.
They have probably been there since last year. They've been there since last year. They don't do waves. What we call them waves is when they used to get a shipment of movies in. They haven't done it at all. Um, and so, but well, that's no problem because I get to go to my local library every Tuesday. So every Tuesday I go, and they sell movies for 25 cents.
Hey, you
Or
can't beat that.
25 cents for a movie, 25 cents per disc. So you can find, you know, I should have brought some movies with me. Um, but you can find all these movies at the library for underneath $1.25. And so every Tuesday I go and I find anywhere between 3 to 25 titles, all for a quarter, underneath a quarter. So So I'm able to keep it going. A lot of my friends, they have to work at it a little bit more. Some ran out of movies because they don't, it's like movies are cheap to get. And we started the Dollar Tree Theater because, and our friend shout out to Professor Macabro. So he came up with the term. He came up with the term budget ballas, which means that we're always on the hustle to find movies for $1.25 or less. Because there's some
Uh-huh.
in our there's some people in our film community. We call them they go to what they call boutique labels, and they'll buy one movie, Karma. They'll buy one movie for like 40 or 50 bucks. And
Oh my gosh.
you know what I call that? I call that like a year at the
Stupid.
library. I call that for a year at the library. 50 bucks. Give me 50 bucks and me to go to the library. I could probably, I'll be, yeah. You might have that one movie. I'm gonna have like forever. Um, so
Yeah.
I do my library. And of course you'll notice that in my comment section, there is a very, very ardent fan of Dollar Tree, my library halls, and that's Scratch and Pete. Pete
Hmm.
loves the library halls. Oh my gosh! And
Yeah.
no, I have not been able to get Pete to be interview. I've asked Pete 3 times. Pete has always said no. You should try to get Pete on your show.
I was just
Um,
gonna say I will try to get him, and in the meantime, you keep trying, and we'll see which one of us can get him first.
I'm just like Pete, come on over and talk because I've talked to a lot of YouTubers and he is actually the only one that I have not been able to get to talk to. He's the only one that has always said no. I'm like, I think part of it has to do with the fact that he has to show his face. I won't do an interview without a face. Um,
Hmm.
I know some people will do that, they'll have an interview with somebody like it's like a radio program, but I won't do
Right.
that. I want to see a face. And I'm the way you look at it, if I'm showing my face, you have nothing to worry about. Um, so yeah, and I enjoy reviewing the Dollar Tree, the Dollar Theater. I call it Dollar Theater now because since we don't have no movies from Dollar Tree, that's my favorite series that I do is for in terms of my reviews because I can review anything, any type of movie, any genre. I can do TV series. I fit in everything underneath that title because they're all underneath $1.25. And so if you go to my channel and you see Dollar Theater, you will be amazed by the variety of stuff that we watch and review.
Yeah. I
Um,
have a challenge for you on your Dollar Theater movie reviews.
what's
If
that?
you can find, it's from 1983, I believe. I could be wrong on the year, but I know it's in the early 80s. And it has, I, I want to say Neil Patrick Harris, but I know for sure it's got Tiptoe Through the Tulips guy.
Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim? Yes, it's got
Okay.
him in it. And it's Purple People Eater.
Wow,
It's
Purple
a movie
People.
called Purple People Eater. It is so corny, but it's also the most wholesome, funny, and it's got a little tiny bit of hidden innuendo, adult humor in it, but it's a family movie, and it is
That,
so cute and funny. I
now,
love it. I
did
love
you see
that
that?
movie.
Did you see it on TV? Because I'm thinking about that
No,
same time or a little
no,
after that. You saw it at the
no.
theater?
My my son and I used to rent it
Okay, so
when
okay,
you could rent the movies. We used to rent it, and we watched it numerous times. But it's all based off of the song "Purple People Eater."
right. I because a lot of movies
It's
go out of
great.
print. A lot of movies go out of print, which
Mhm.
means um, which means that they make a certain amount of movies. So they'll make like 10,000
Right.
copies, and and then they'll put them out there. Unless there's a surge, unless there's people buying it, that's all that gets put out. And
Right.
and every year attrition takes off more and more every year. So there's just less and less, unless someone comes out with a boutique label will come out and reissue it. But even then, it's not going to be a whole lot. It might be 1,500 copies. That's probably what they're licensed that they can sell. So they can only sell a certain amount. But I would
Right.
keep an eye out for it. I mean, I found the two. I have found a lot of films that are out of print. I found the two.
Right.
I found the two Star Wars movies, the Ewoks movies. I found that.
Hmm.
That's very hard to find. That's very
Yes,
hard
it
to
is. I
find.
know that Logan wanted white buffalo, and we hunted and hunted. Oh, and the other one was The Last of the Dogmen, and he wanted that one. Um, and we hunted forever to get those movies. We did eventually finally find those two movies, but it was so hard to get them. But they're both really good news. Sorry, I'm getting attacked by bugs out here. That's why I keep doing these hand gestures and stuff. But trying to swat the bugs away. But anyway, oh, I got a picture of Skippy. I just saw your comment to Logan. I've got a picture to show you.
Yeah,
Um,
Skipper's a star now. I think. I think the name. I think after people find out you named him after the skipper from Gilligan's Island. I think he's just gonna be a big star. That's a great name for a cat.
well, he and his brothers and sister are from, they're all named from Gilligan's Island. Um, I don't know how well you can see this. See if I can figure out where to do it. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see a little bit. I'm sure. Yeah, I see it better now. He put a hat on the skipper. Did you put is that a
I
hat?
bought him a cowboy.
Oh,
It's a cowboy hat on Skippy.
oh my God. You should have got him a real skipper's cap.
That's all I could find.
I was gonna say it
Oh,
might be sort of hard to find in Idaho. Speaking of
yeah.
Idaho, did you notice I made my name out in your honor, by the way. I put, this
You
is
named what?
Sparta. I did. I put this is Sparta. Um, because the one thing you and I and Logan all have in common is the fact that we are college football fans.
Well, you and I are. Logan
Oh,
is not a football fan, but if he's going to root for any football, he roots for his pigs. He roots
uh,
for those Arkansas Oinkers.
that's right. That's right. One
Yeah.
day, one day, I'm going to turn into your interviews, and we're going to have Logan there. He's going to do the suey pig. But yeah, you and I were talking last Saturday. We were watching Boise State playing Idaho, and San Jose State playing Air Force, and one of us won and one of us didn't.
Oh,
Yeah. Um, and I can tell you right now, boys and girls, it wasn't me who lost. My Spartans took care of business. They beat Air Force. We're 2-0. Boise lost to Oregon. No shame in that, actually. To tell you the truth. In fact, Boise actually moved up in the rankings based on that loss because they played Oregon so well. But Boise and San Jose State will be playing this year again.
let me ask you this. Who is the coach at Oregon right now?
Dan Lanning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's the coach at Washington?
Uh, that's the coach from Arizona State or Arizona. He moved because DeBoer moved to Alabama. He left Washington and went to Alabama, and then the former
Okay.
coach from yeah.
Where's Chris Peterson coaching?
He is actually coaching. I want to say he's. I wanted to say he was coaching. I think he's back. I think he's back with you guys. I
Is
know
he?
it's. Yeah, I think Peterson. It's either Peterson or Hawkins. One of those two went back. I know his son was coaching Northern Idaho. I want to say he was coaching Northern Colorado. But I don't know if that's the case either. Um, yeah. Uh, I know Andy Avalos went and got a offensive line. He got an offensive coordinator job at another school, so he landed on his feet too. I feel sort of bad for him because that happened so fast. He had a good team. It stumbled really badly. Who knows why? But the next thing you
Oh,
know, he just yeah. That's why you got Coach
Coach
Danielson there.
Peterson is Coach Peterson retired in 2019, actually.
Yeah, but he came back. He came back to he's not coaching. He's just coaching on the, he's not a head coach. He's just helping out.
Oh,
There's no
it's
such
not. It
thing
doesn't say that on the.
as
Um, it
yeah,
doesn't
I
say
caught
anything
that.
about that on here.
Yeah, I caught that on I have a lot of college football sites on my bookmark that I go ahead and follow some of the coaches. Like that's how I knew Alvarez landed. He landed as a coordinator somewhere. Um, and of course, you have Coach Danielson there now, who's doing a fantastic job, by the way. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, but I was really happy to see San Jose State win. Um, yeah, and
Well,
Idaho did beat Wyoming, so
but
there's
that's
that.
no win.
No,
Wyoming
no,
is not nothing. Just that's a cakewalk.
yeah, that was not a surprise to see that, to tell you the truth. But everybody was sitting there going, "Yeah, we know who's going to win this game because Wyoming is not very good this
It's
year."
Spencer Danielson is the head coach of the Boise State Broncos football team.
Yep, yeah, he took over after they let Avalos go. Well, like I said, I think he got really, college being a college coach these days. Man, it used to be that you get like 4 years. You get to come in there. The first year, you're just feeling your feeling your way through. The second year, you start building up a network. You get your first recruiting class come in. The third year, you show marked improvement, and then and you start building pipelines to different states to recruit. And then the fourth year, you start generating a winner. You know, but now college coaches are getting as little as 2 years, and they're getting hooked. You can't win on 2 years at any college. I don't care who you are. You got to give a coach more than 2 years. It's not fair.
Yeah,
You can't come in there and win in 2 years. You gotta be patient.
yeah.
So
You got to
college
let them
football,
get their stride. You got to let them
yeah.
get their stride with the team, and this team has to get comfortable with the coach, and they've got to meld.
Logan just said he just did the suey pig in the chat. That's amazing. That's amazing. That's awesome. I love it. Yes. But you're absolutely right. Gosh, you know how many people don't know what you just said? They don't understand that, and you do. I'm so impressed. Seriously. A lot of people don't understand that. They
you
see,
know,
I mean, like,
here
like,
in the Treasure Valley, we have Boise State, which is a full 4-year college. We have CWI, which is College of Western Idaho. We have Northwest Nazarene, which is a 4-year college.
hmm
We have Treasure Valley Community College, which is just a 2-year community college. And then we also have College of Idaho.
right.
And College of Idaho is a small college. but they have an 8-man football team,
Oh
and
wow,
they're
they
the
play.
Coyotes. They
Okay.
play 8 men, and they are really, really doing good. They are moving up in their ranks in their league. And they play a lot of other sports too. I don't know all of their sports schedule, but I do know that they are really moving up in the ranks of their 8-man football.
Now,
But
do you
this
do you
small
go
little
out there?
area, we have at least 5 colleges right here in this small little metropolis that we live in.
That's great. Now, do you get to see the games on TV? Do they broadcast them locally, or is it all through ESPN as well?
You cannot watch any sports, unless you have cable or satellite.
Yeah, it really sucks.
It
Yeah, it
does.
really.
You know, we're
It's
the ones here
you,
supporting
you
the colleges. We're the ones making those colleges.
yeah,
We should
it's
be
a
able
real
to
shame.
watch our teams, and we should
Yeah,
not have to pay for it. If we
no,
want to watch it, we could go down to Wingers or Buffalo Wild Wings, or sometimes the theaters will save one screen, and you can go and watch on the screen at the theater.
wow,
But the
that's cool
chances
as
of
hell.
getting a seat,
Yeah,
the seats are going to be filled before you even show up in the parking lot.
especially for those Vandals because they're doing so well.
The Vandals.
I mean,
I don't think so. I'm not a
well,
vandal.
how about the Bengals? That's a cat. Got a roof for cats. I mean,
No, we're Broncos. We bleed blue.
that's awesome. I think that's really cool that you're a huge fan like that, and it's always fun to talk to. It's always fun to
Yeah,
talk football. It is. It's a lot of fun.
it
Now,
is.
I got a couple questions for you. Before I know I'm pushing your limit here.
Oh, I
What do you,
don't mind. I'm good as
oh,
long
okay.
as the chat's good.
Yeah, it looks like the chat is still with us here. I appreciate that so much. I think that's
Yeah,
amazing. And to those who are watching on the replay, thank you for coming in and watching and supporting Karma and
absolutely. Now, wait
um,
a minute here. Whose interview is this?
it's just yeah, whoops, doinks. I was gonna ask you, what do you guys do to prepare for winter? How do you winterize your home?
We live in a mobile home, and so we have skirting on it. We make sure that there's heat tape around the water pipe, and that's really about it. We make sure that the vehicles have antifreeze during the winter time. Well, we have to take the AC out of the window because we use evaporative cooling or a swamp cooler, and we take that out of the window. Make sure that the windows are all closed. Um, we keep one faucet dripping all the time because we have 6 cats living in the house, and we want to make sure that they have fresh water. Cats prefer running water as opposed to stagnant water or stationary water. And with 6 cats and a dog, it's hard to keep water full all the time. And so we do keep one faucet running at all times usually. And that just helps to keep any pipes from freezing. Um,
Right,
Otherwise, that's it. Where we live in a high desert. The elevation is 2,600 feet. We don't freeze that hard, generally speaking. We can get down to 0, and we typically do get down to 0 maybe once or twice a winter. But generally speaking, we get down into the teens, occasionally the single digits, a few times a winter. Otherwise, we're typically the high teens to the mid 20s. Um,
okay.
Daytime highs are typically 20s to 30.
Yeah, see, I always
Um,
thought of Idaho. I always thought deep snows, because you guys had the mountains there and you
well,
know,
yeah,
yeah.
it depends on where you're talking. We have it all. We literally have it all. In our little pocket of where we live, we're high desert and our elevation is only about 2,600 feet. Now we can drive an hour and be in the mountains. We can drive to where my in-laws live and they're at 42 or 4,500 feet and they get a lot more snow than we do. A lot more snow than we do. And that's only
Michigan,
2 hours from us.
yeah, Michigan, the only mountains they have is in the north, in the UP, what they call it. That's where the
Mhm.
mountains in Michigan. But over on the other side, in the lower peninsula, we get hills. Like there's no mountains around us here. I mean, there's nothing around here. You could go an hour each way and not run into mountains at all. Um, my in-laws used to live in a hilly area. It wasn't too
Mhm.
bad at all. But if you went, like I said, you cross the Mackinac Island Bridge, and the higher north you go, the more mountains you get. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing. I think people are amazed. I know I was. I was actually amazed at how flat Michigan was because I always thought there'd be like, I thought it'd be more mountainy, and it
Mhm.
really is quite flat to tell
Yeah.
you the truth.
Now,
Um,
see, Idaho, this area that I'm talking about in Idaho, I'm only talking about the the Oregon side of South Idaho to about the central part of South Idaho. If you go past the center from where about Twin Falls east, staying on I-84 corridor, just going straight across the south part of Idaho, you'll get into very, very cold, snowy,
mm,
really miserable winter. Now, you go on north of the I-84 corridor, and you're going to get into mountains. You're going to get into really cold, cold temperatures. You're going to get into the forest and that. You get
do
up
you have
into the panhandle, and you're going to get into the prairie, and you're going to get into totally different terrain. Every part of Idaho is very unique and very different.
now? Do you have snow all year round on top of your mountains?
Um, there's parts, absolutely. Yeah. We have Mount Bora, which, if I'm not mistaken, Mount Bora, well, let me just double check it. I don't want to give Mount Bora. Okay, Mount Bora um, also is um, translated as Beauty Peak, is a mountain in the western United States and the highest summit in Idaho, one of the most prominent peaks in the contiguous United States. It is located in the central section of the Lost River Range within the Chalice National Forest in eastern Custer County. And
So I have.
it
Well,
is the elevation of Mount Bora is 12,662 feet.
that's pretty high. That's really high.
Yeah.
I know that. I know my brother lives in Oregon, and he says, and you can, when you fly past Mount Rainier, I know you can see
Mm-hmm.
snow on Rainier all year round.
Yeah.
I was just curious because, like I said, a lot of times, when I tell people I'm in Michigan, remember telling my family that, what's Michigan like? Is it all snow? And it's like, man, no. I mean, every year since I've gotten here, quite honestly, it seems to snow less and less. Uh, Last year it's like we get one decent storm a year now, and the rest of it it's just cold, but it's not really rainy or snowy at all. If it does have it does rain. So I was wondering if
The
it's too
Boise
hot.
area, on average, the Boise area gets 13 inches of precipitation a year.
You only get 13. You only get 13 inches.
Per year.
Wow, wow, that's not very much at
It's a
all.
desert.
Yeah,
It's a
wow,
desert.
yeah,
And that's what, people come through the area and they see, oh, it's lush and green. There's trees. There's this, that. We have agriculture, excellent, excellent wineries here. Well, the only reason we have agriculture in this area is because way back when someone had the forethought to bring irrigation to the valley, to southern Idaho. If
yeah.
we did not have irrigation and reservoirs, there'd be no grass, there'd be no trees, there'd be
Be
no
be the northern version of Arizona.
exactly in this region of Idaho. Now, there's other parts of Idaho that would have no problem because
Yeah,
they get consistent precipitation.
I think we get.
The other thing is we have no natural disasters in
Uh,
this part because there's no tornadoes, there's
no,
no hurricanes, there's no
but though I will say
uh,
this: no tornadoes. You know, knock on wood when you say that, because let me tell you, um, you know, Michigan doesn't get that many tornadoes at all, but they do happen. And we had uh, we had one last year. I told you about when you and I talked, and we had a little F0 come in here, and let me tell you, an F0 can do a damage. It wrecked one of our
I
parks.
yeah.
Uh,
Now
literally,
Logan was from Arkansas and Missouri. He knows tornadoes. And I was there when they had the sirens go off, and that was enough for me.
hmm
There are tornadoes that occur in Idaho, but they're real small. They're quick. They pop up and they're gone. And they happen in unpopulated areas.
yeah,
And
yeah, we were
we
lucky.
actually have witnessed we've
Uh,
witnessed very small tornadoes pop up real close to us, but like I said, they pop up, they're there for a few seconds and they're gone. And so we don't have the natural disasters here in our area. We don't have blizzards, we don't have hurricanes, we don't have tropical storms, we don't have earthquakes. Well, I take that back. We do occasionally get earthquakes, but they
okay.
don't cause the damage like they get in California,
So
not
I mean,
here in
Idaho,
our
Idaho seems to be
metropolis.
Idaho seems to be a very cool place to live at. I mean, it seems like it's always interesting, the way the state's laid out, your little with the panhandle. How how wide is that panhandle? Is it like only like 100 miles from tip to tip, or is it less than that?
Honestly, I
You
don't know that much about northern Idaho. I've only
know,
ever lived in southern Idaho. I've never even been to the panhandle in all my years of living here.
but the Butler family farm mentioned, do you get fires? I was gonna say you probably get forest fires still.
Yes, yes, I should. I don't even think about that as being a natural disaster, but yes, we do. We do get forest fires. Um, in fact, all summer long, we have had nothing but smoke. But it's so much a part of our lives, I don't even think about it.
We had
Um,
that last year. We had that from the California fires. We got that, and there are also the Canadian fires. They had a couple of really nasty Canadian fires, and we got it was like our whole. It was just haze. We got up there and it's all haze. You could smell the smoke, but the day was hazy.
We
You know, it was strange.
we get Canada, Washington, Oregon, California, and Nevada on top of Idaho. And it settles right here in our valley. And so, yes, sometimes it can be pretty miserable. This summer has been really bad for smoke. I guess it's just such a part of life that I didn't even consider the forest fires. Part of the problem is that they rush in to put it out, and they don't necessarily clear the forest floor.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of people complaining about BLM grazing, and they don't want the animals in there to graze because they're going to damage the land. Well, then they don't want the forest fires. They want them to go in and rush in and stop the forest fires and stop this and stop that and don't do this and don't do that. Okay, forest fires are a natural occurrence, and they are very good. In fact, pine trees need fire to open their pine cones in order to spread their seed. At least certain varieties do. And there's other trees that need fire. Fire is healthy for a forest. It is a healthy thing. It cleans the valley or the forest floor. It's very cleansing for the forest. Yes, some animals are lost in the fire, and that is very unfortunate.
Well,
we as a human race have moved into the forest. We've destroyed the forests. We've done a lot of damage to the land. However, if we allow animals to go in and graze, if we allow them to go in there and graze, they help clean the forest. We allow them to go in and graze on BLM land. That helps to keep it under control. If we allow the forest fires to burn and contain them, not put them out immediately, but contain them and allow them to burn, it will keep the forests healthier.
Yeah.
And we won't have as many or as devastating of forest fires.
You won't really see an aggressive cast by, at least in California, you won't see a really aggressive rush out and put them out, in the deep forest. Unfortunately, California has so many small towns and whatnot. Paradise, I used to drive, we used to drive through Paradise on my way to my grandparents' house. It was a nice little town. A lot of people, I knew people who lived there, and it pretty much got wiped off the map with a fire. And it's sad.
Thanks for joining us, Jerry. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, thank you. It's interesting because I did one fire. I was with a fire crew, and for one thing, I'll tell you one thing: wildland fire. There was a movie they made called None But the Brave, and it showed a hotshot crew landing, and it was a story about that crew, and it got killed. And they showed the story about that, and one of the things they're showing how fast the fire was moving, and that fire is absolutely terrifying to see how fast it can move. You think that once you get in the car, you could drive and outrace the fire, or you can see a fire on a peak, and it could be like 2 or 3 valleys over, canyons over, and you're sitting there, oh, that's way over there. I'm not worried about that, until you look behind, and yet then you have to worry about that because it's right there on your doorstep. It's scary as hell.
Yep, it's fast.
Wildland fire it's really fast, and It's like and you see it race up trees and explodes the trees. The trees actually will explode.
Mhm.
The fire racing up
Yep.
of it. It's really interesting. Yeah, I guess it's called interesting. Um, it's something you don't see, something you don't forget. That's for sure. Especially when you're standing there with just a hand tool.
Absolutely.
That's all you got. You got a
Yeah.
hand tool, and you might have a guy what we call a 5 gallon water tank. We call that a piss tank because you just squirt that on little embers that might pop up right about next to you, and that's it. That's all you
Mhm.
got. Uh, so you're right. I mean, a lot of fire crews just contain. There's no way they can actually aggressively hit the fire because they don't have other than they have air assets. But a lot of times that's what they'll do. They'll try to contain it and let it burn out, and so it can come back and regrow. But still, you
Well,
hate to see it. You still hate to
there
see it, but
are there are a lot of places that will just contain it, but I have seen and witnessed in certain states
hmm
that as soon as they hear there's a fire, they rush in and try to put it out. Well, they can't.
yeah, they try.
They rush in
Especially
and
if it's
try to put
starting
it out immediately. As soon as they know there's a fire, they're in there trying to put it out. Put it out, put it out. You got to get it out. No,
well,
contain it, allow it to burn a section off because the forest is going to be healthier and
I
you
think
won't have a fire there.
I think that we're part of that the attitude of fire crews now for our states are. I think it used to be a little bit of a wait and see. The fire would go on there, and you'd call it in there, and they'd sit there, and they still do this. They have fire watchtowers that will see a fire burning, and and they monitor the fire. They monitor it. They just see how it does. A lot of times, a fire will burn itself out, or they'll allow it to burn a little while. But I think with climate change, that has changed the game a little bit because now they're rushing out to do it because now they don't know how the winds are going to blow. It used to be they could detail the weather. They could tell the action of the fire based on the weather, on the forecast, and on the wind conditions and everything else. But now with climate change being what it is, I think it's changed. I think fire, for one thing, fire moves a lot faster. I mean, you're seeing, and plus, there's more and more people encroaching on the forest.
And
So of
the
course they have to
reason
go on it. Yeah,
the reason why it's moving faster is because the forest floor is so full of
debris.
debris. And one of the reasons why it's so full of debris is because you have people griping and complaining because they're not wanting ranchers to allow their animals to graze and help control all of that's
Yeah,
on the forest floor.
yeah.
They're
My
not going in and cleaning things up.
My grandfather had a ranch called the Rose Ranch, and that's what he used to do. He had a herd of cows, and he would just cut them loose. He had a big spread, and he just he had fences for it, but it was big. I mean, it was like when we were there, it was like the size of Bonanza to us little kids. Um, but
Mhm.
that's what they do. The cows just go there, roam around, or there'd be times where we go for visits and we'd be there for a week or two and not seeing a single cow, and then come up
Right.
next time, and then there's to be like 100 head. So they were free grazing, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, so uh, I know,
Right.
huh? This is actually pretty. This is
Yeah.
actually a lot of. I love this sort of discussion because because I really respect your knowledge because I don't know what it's like. I've been out of touch. Ever since I came from California, as far as that goes. So
Right.
yeah, I appreciate it. Um, I don't want to do this,
Well, I
but I'm going
enjoy a
to.
good conversation.
Yes, I do too. Uh, Real quick, if you don't mind, I would like to. I'm going to probably have to let you get go. Um, for one thing, I want to say one thing I noticed on your commentary box. Thank you so much for the kind words. I appreciate it, and I respect you for considering me your mentor. I think it's really cool. Thank you so much because I had this. I do the same thing. I sort of look at my friend Hobbs and I look at Kevin from Tuber Chat. I look at them sort of like my mentors as well. You know, I don't get to talk to Kevin as nearly as much as I'd like to, because he's so busy. But Hobbs is my mentor. He walked me through, you know, when I
Right.
first on the YouTube, and you know, I think that I think it's a cool thing to say to folks, is that when someone has helped you out like that, because YouTube is a wild, it's a wild west, isn't it?
It is. It's an
It really,
untamed frontier.
it truly is. Uh, um, there's so many different communities, so many different personalities. There's so much of everything on here, and just to be able to sit here in your whole small little corner and you know, try not to, you know, just do your own thing, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I just want to say thank you for the kind words.
Oh, you're most welcome. And I so appreciate your encouragement and your help on this journey. I really do.
Yeah, of course, you can always reach out you know, you can always reach out. Of course, you know this already, but you can always reach out if I can help you in any way. You just let me know what you need, and we'll make it happen.
Thank you so much.
Except for the week of San Jose State and Boise, and then I don't know you.
Oh, well, no, that's what I'm going to be picking at you. You know that. You know,
See,
that's
Logan
going to
says,
be quite a game.
yeah, that will be fun. We'll have to think of a small wager or something like that. Like the loser has to wear the others has to tag in with their interviews. You know, instead of our names, you have to say like you know, I'm a Spartan fan or something like that. You know, if I win, you have to
No,
say I'm a
no,
Spartan. If I lose, I'll say I'm a Bronco fan. Um, it should be a lot of fun because I enjoy doing that. I have that bet with Hobbs. We have the cat food bowl. Cat food bowl. Um, that's what him and our pro teams play, and whoever teams wins, the other person has to eat cat food. Um, and we have done that, but we sort of moderated it. Now we have to eat our favorite pie, but with no hands. We have to have
oh
our hands
boy.
behind us. Yeah. So it's a little bit of a more fun. Though I didn't mind doing the cat food because it was fun watching his face. Um, but
All right. Well, I
uh,
appreciate you being with me today, Patrick. And I appreciate everybody in chat joining in and having fun with us. Um, I know I've kept you almost 2 hours, but we get to talking and it's just like talking to
yeah,
an old friend, and
that's the
I
best kind
don't
of
mean you're
interview.
old because I'm right there with you. But
Uh, uh,
I will let you know. Um, what days are you live? Real
I'll
quick,
be
let's
live
get that in there.
tomorrow. No, this week anyway. I will be live. I'll be live tomorrow. I have two shows tomorrow. I'll be on at 2 o'clock Eastern time, and I'll be interviewing a filmmaker from Sweden. Gustav Jungdahl will be here on my channel at 2 o'clock. And then 8 o'clock, I'll be interviewing a Canadian filmmaker named Ryder Hartman, and he'll be here at 8 o'clock at Eastern time. And then I got two YouTubers this week. I'm interviewing Mika and Kira. They run a show called Double Feature Podcast. Very cool girls, very cool chicks. I can't wait to talk to them. Been wanting to get them on for quite a while, and then on Thursday, Betty's going to come out and hang out with us. Betty J Gathers is going to come out and hang out with us, and
Oh,
she too
cool.
is yes. Betty's a treasure. I cherish her friendship very much, and we talk often on the phone and whatnot, and you know, we talk about the tube and the people in it, and you know, just life in general, you know. So she's been very
That's
supportive.
wonderful.
Yeah, she's a really nice lady too. So and she's pretty fearless. She's come out and hung out with us, when we did the John Wick movies, when she came out and hung out with us and talked about John Wick. So I keep telling her that I'm gonna have to get her. I'm gonna have to get her. I'm gonna have to get John Wick 4, so we can do that one as well. But she's a really nice lady, and so I got her coming in on Thursday. It's gonna be a fun week. It's gonna be a fun week.
Awesome.
You got
So
filmmakers.
you go live at least 3 times a week,
3
and
times
you
a week.
interview writers, directors, actors and actresses. You interview musicians and YouTubers.
Yep, small business owners, inventors. We just got done interviewing a gentleman about it. He created a game called Polarized. He's working to get it up and running. We interviewed him. We're going to be interviewing a gentleman named Robert Kondo. He has made a tool called the Restore, and in fact, I think you would really like him a lot, Karma. If you can come into that, I'll give you the date for that. You should come over and check him out, because his story is fascinating. I'll send you his website. I think he'd be a perfect guest for you. Actually, I think he'd be
Wonderful.
a perfect. In fact, you can get Logan involved in this one, since it's about hand tools and construction and whatnot. He'd probably be interested in talking to this gentleman. Possibility. So we got him coming in and talking, and then we got um, other actors who've done westerns. So we're going to be talking about western films, and yeah, we have a lot of things coming up on the channel that we're pretty happy about.
All right, and you've done 489 episodes so far. Am I correct?
Yes, we have done 489 episodes of 8 Questions With. We're only 11 away from 500. I can't believe we actually made it to 500.
That is so exciting. You got to do some sort of a celebration live when you hit 500.
Yeah, I might let somebody have the 500th shot, but I think episode 501 would probably be a really good time to do a celebration and do live and celebrate. I would love to get people to tell me. I've done this before. I've asked people to tell me what their favorite shows have been, because we have so many. I'm just curious to see what shows really intrigue people. Like which ones did you like? Because there's a lot out there, and like I said, I've had no bumps. I mean, even when I did have one person try to push an agenda on me, I still had fun with the interview. We still talked. We still communicated. I've never had anybody be upset, like when the interview was over and they got mad or upset or said they'll never come back. I've never had not a single person. Every person I've ever talked to, if I asked them to come back, they have. They've
That's great.
Not everybody, I mean, I'll be honest, not everybody has been invited back, because I do try to keep everything fresh. But there are some people I do have come back a little more than others, especially if they're small business owners. We're gonna have Mike from Mike's Monsters coming back soon. We have Christy Adams from Nightmare Toys in Las Vegas. She'll be coming back. Retro Fusion 3D will probably be having coming back, because they're small business owners, and I really like to try to hype them up if I can. I'm trying to nail down a date in October for a candy store owner in Pennsylvania, and I want them to come over and talk about their store, type it up. It's like you mentioned this. You mentioned real quick, but you mentioned too. People, when they see us do our interviews, they think it's really easy. They say, "Wow, that's you got you get people to talk to." But you yourself know how hard it is to actually get somebody to show up to do one.
I am having a hard time getting people to even respond to my request. All I want to do is just sit down and have a chat. That's all it is. And I just want to sit down and have a casual chit chat. It's just a casual chit chat with me asking questions and letting you basically have the mic. And I can't get people to respond to me.
that blows my mind. Tell you the truth, it really does. Just because it's a really good opportunity. I mean, it's a chance for a YouTuber, especially a YouTuber with not very many. Like what I do sometimes when I go in Kevin's chat, I will sit there and I'll sit there and say, "Who's here? Who's here underneath 100? Who's here? Who here has less than 100 subscribers? Raise your hand." Because then I'll go over there and sub to them. I'll go and sub to them, help get them over. I cannot believe how hard it is for when I put my hand up. And there's 30, 40 people in there, and you raise your finger up there, you say, "Who has less than 100?" And even Kevin will notice that, when I do that, he'll sit there and say, "Hey, Patrick from Have Cheetah Will View is letting, if you're underneath 100, then, let him know, because he'll come over and it's amazing how many people will sit there in that chat and not go over there and take a and the funny thing is, they're sitting in that chat, they'll be there for hours, and they'll talk about how they can't get past 100. And then you got somebody like
Right.
myself who's sitting there going like, "Yeah, I'll do it." Like when you posted, when you were asking for people to be interviewed. I didn't, we already went through that about, I thought it was the other way around. But the fact of the matter is, I reached out to you because it's like, okay, if she wants to be interviewed, more power to her. I'll do it. Let's do it. And
Yeah.
it was like, it was a no-brainer. And so it surprises me when I find out when people come in here, when when they don't want to do an interview. It's like, if you're looking to grow your channel, doing a show like Karma's Meet Me Mondays, I can't. It's a better show. It's a better show than my show in that regard, because
I'm even willing to do a pre-recorded and make it a premiere.
yeah,
Jason, just Jason Keto. I can't remember the exact name of his channel. Just Jason Keto and More. I think that's it. He works during the day, and I want to interview him. I've got to reach out to him, but I'm willing to record our interview and play it during Meet Me Monday as a premiere, just to get the interview. I'll do that for anybody. Just
we will definitely do
agree to an interview.
We will definitely do our part. We will definitely be pushing this out like crazy, and I will try to get you some people to come your way. I'll make sure they're appropriate. I'll make sure they're appropriate. And get you a few more heads. I mean, anybody who's listening to this for replay or here in the chat now, and you're sitting there and you're asking, how do I grow my channel? This is how you do it. This is one of the ways.
Come and do an interview with either one of us. My email is on my About page. Send me an email and tell me that you want to do an interview with me, and I will make it happen. If you don't want to actually have your face show, send me a picture of yourself, and we'll put a picture of you up instead of having you live. We'll make it so that your picture is up there. I'm okay with that. I know some people are not comfortable with actually being live. Some people have real social anxiety. We'll put a picture of you up there. If you can't make it at 1 o'clock Mountain, 3 o'clock Eastern, that's okay. We'll do a pre-recorded interview, and I will post it as a premiere at 1 o'clock Mountain Time, 3 o'clock Eastern on Monday for Meet Me Monday. I will work with you and I will accommodate you. Let's just get your channel out there. Let me help you.
Let's see. We will get an auctioneer and a okay, they're all talking about okay, I was looking at the chat real quick. We'll make that happen. We'll try to get some people over to you. And
I'll send them your way too, Patrick.
Yeah, send them my way, because I'll talk to anybody.
Patrick is a great interviewer. I had more fun on his show.
He made it really easy. I was nervous because it was my very first time being interviewed. And let me tell you, Patrick is great at putting you right at ease and having fun. And it's just awesome.
It's different, isn't it?
Really
It's
awesome.
different being on. It's different being on the
It
other side of the
is.
microphone. You know, you think as an interviewer, you
It
think
is.
this would be a piece of cake, but once all of a sudden now you're the one answering the questions, all of a sudden it's like, but you know what? It makes you a better interviewer. It makes you a
It
better
does.
interviewer because now you're more sensitive to what the other person might be feeling. If they're nervous, if they're anxious, you know, you watch body language. You know, if you see them move around in their seat a lot, you know, if their hands are busy or whatnot, then you know they know you know they are suffering from anxiety or nervousness. So you try to find that one topic that they're comfortable with, and you'll see them quit moving around or their hands will quit moving because now they're focusing on a subject that they want to talk about and they feel comfortable talking about. And there you go.
Right.
And by the end of the
Right.
interview, they're comfortable and you have a trust with them, and they'll come back and do it again. All right then. I guess that will be it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I know I have. I've had a great time chatting with you. And
Me too.
I want to do this again. We'll do
will.
it again in a couple months and see how things are doing for both of us. See if you found my purple people eater, and I can rub it in a little bit that my Broncos beat your whatever the San Jose guys are.
Well,
And
okay, just making that bill a
yeah.
little larger.
What is that?
I think if I win, I already know what I want for my bet. If I win, Logan has to come on live and do the suey pig. So San Jose State
Okay,
beats
that
Oregon.
doesn't hurt me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
And then
doesn't
he has
hurt
to come on.
me.
Yeah. Well, he might make you to do it with him though, so I can't speak to him about that. But if I win, he can come up there and do the pig, the suey pig. He might have you do it with him. I'm saying, you know, you better hope you guys win.
Okay. And, if I win, you have to come on. If I win, you have to come on and you have to say how much you absolutely love the Broncos. They're the best team in college sports.
Oh my God! That's asking a lot. Well, you know what though? You guys got us last year. We had you guys in the palm of our hand. We let you go last year. Hopefully this year will be a little bit different. It'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to the game. You know, last time we met.
Here's a better one. Here's a better one for you. You love the Broncos and you bleed blue.
Okay. I trust me. If I lose, you'll be very entertained to see how I respond to this. You'll be very entertained. I promise you that.
I would love to see you come here and kiss the Smurf turf.
Logan says there are two ways of doing the pig. Yeah. So get ready. Yeah. Get ready to do the pig. The pig. I guess what do they call pig calling? The pig about doing the pig. Yeah. About the pig saying, yeah, that's what I thought too. Well, we're gonna hear them both later on this year.
Here's the best pig calling: oink, oink.
That's funny. That's funny. All right, Karma. Thank you so much for having me. I'll let you get out of here. And thank you again.
Thank you. This has been a lot of fun, and I hope everybody has enjoyed it. Be sure to meet me back here next week. Who knows what kind of fun we might have. I love you guys, and be watching for the video on Thursday for Thoughts for Thursday. See you next time.
Peace.